I am Angela Montalvo, and I live in Ogallala, a town in rural western Nebraska, and I am one of the tri-chairs of the Nebraska Poor People's Campaign. Here in Nebraska, there's a proposed revision to the state constitution that would severely restrict Nebraska voters by adding lengthy and repetitive steps, as well as new technicalities that would disqualify eligible voters. The most notable goal of this constitutional revision is to enshrine voter ID requirements in our state constitution. If the proposed changes are made to the Nebraska Constitution, low-income Nebraskans, like myself, would struggle to vote. Obtaining a state ID can be very difficult for low-wage workers and poor people. Our DMV in the town I live in is only open 2 days a week, which makes it very difficult to access for many people who work every day. Being able to afford an ID is a barrier for low-income people. Dealing with the anxiety that comes with the process of getting an ID is a barrier to getting an ID for disabled folks like myself and my husband. Over 34,000 veterans have incomes below $35,000 in the state of Nebraska, including my husband and myself. That's a quarter of the Nebraska veteran population. 34% of people in Nebraska are poor or low income. This includes 47% of children in Nebraska, 39% of women in Nebraska, 64% of Black Americans, 63% of Latinx Nebraskans, and 30% of white Nebraskans. In 2020, we, the poor and low-income people of Nebraska, accounted for 36% of the total votes in Nebraska, over a third of the votes cast in our state. Low-income voters are a large, active part of the voting population, and we cannot allow barriers to be put in place to make it harder for us to vote. We must end the filibuster and save our democracy. Our deadline is a victory. Fight poverty, not the poor.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low-Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
And we need to do it with the biggest actions possible.
Because we know the only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough.
My voice is just as valuable as anyone else's.
We need the third Reconstruction.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we fight.
And we become an agent of change.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
It's time for a change!
We are people of resilience.